Welcome back. There's lots of sounds going on because my cats and dogs and just there's a lot going on. We'll try to keep it monitored. But today I'm going to be going over all the books that I read in July. Speaking of my cat, this is Patrick. I'm aware that it's a week through August already, but I have been in kind of a reading slump. Like I haven't finished a book in probably like 2 weeks. Like it's been a minute. I've been busy. I've been just not in the mood, which like sucks. For the month of July, I read 9 books and I'm just gonna kind of go over them with you right now. I had a lot of 4 stars. I feel like it was the month of 4 stars. There were a couple like not good ones. I think I have 1 5-star. I'm gonna go chronologically. So the first book that I finished in the month of July was Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is Patrick's Tale. This book was really good. I talked about it in my like mid-year wrap-up video and I really liked this book. It made me cry. It basically follows the story of January and Augustus and how they kind of interact. They are at a like beach house type vibe in this like beach town and they are neighbors. They are both authors, cute little enemies to lovers type vibe. So yeah, Beach Read by Emily Henry. Really liked it. This was my 5-star because not even for the story or the writing, but simply because of the emotion that it made me feel. So next up is The Thief. I will put a little picture of it right here because I listened to it. I don't have a physical copy. I also can't pronounce the author's name. So there it is. I rated this book 3 stars because it was okay. I liked the story good enough. The writing was okay. I think the audiobook narrator was kind of not my favorite, but it's okay. So that one basically follows the story of this man living in Japan, I believe, and he's a pickpocket. So yeah, you kind of just follow him through this period of his life where he is stealing from people and kind of learn about him and his moral code and what he is all about. I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. It was kind of like, oh, I kind of forgot what I read about after I was done reading it. So, you know, it was 3 stars. It was okay. Next up is Flower Crowns and Fearsome Things. This book I really liked. I gave it 4 stars. It's a poetry book written by Amanda Lovelace. And yeah, I really liked this book. It has some really good like poems about feminism. So an example of one of the poems is this one. They're kind of themed by like the softness and the darkness of like women. So here's this one. And then like on the next page we have the like softness, like pretty, and it really highlights that you can be both. Like as a woman you're kind of expected to be like strong or pretty, but it's really about like you're both, you know. She's not strong because she wields a sword. She's strong and she wields a sword. Get it right. She never needed a weapon to be powerful. And I really like that. Just like, hell yeah. Feminism, I'm all about it. I gave that one 4 stars. I think I already said that. Next up, I read Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke. Obsessed. It was so pretty. I gave it 4 stars. I think I digested it a little too fast. I don't think I let it sit with myself well enough or like for long enough. I think I read it kind of too fast because I kind of missed some of the really beautiful imagery and really beautiful like concepts in the book. But it's basically Rilke sending like his correspondence to a young poet and kind of giving him the life advice. It's interesting because he's not necessarily giving the poet specific advice towards his life. Like it's kind of advice that can be given to anyone. Like anyone can kind of hear it, even if you're not a poet, and like gain something out of it. So that was really good. I gave that 4 stars. I think I already said that too. But yeah, next up was The Wide Window by Lemony Snicket. I read this series as a kid and I really loved it. I've been rereading it. You fly through these. It has really big print and like a lot of the pages are kind of empty, you know, so you fly through these. I read this super fast. This one is the 3rd book in this series. It's following the Baudelaire children. Is that what their names are? Baudelaire? I'm really struggling. Anyways, it follows 3 orphans. Their parents died tragically in a fire, and they're kind of bouncing from home to home, distant relatives and such. And there is this man that is after their fortune named Count Olaf, and he's just kind of dressing up in disguises and trying to hunt them down and get their fortune. So yeah, I love it. It's like nostalgic, which is why I gave it 4 stars, because it's not like objectively maybe it's not great, but it's very nostalgic, so I love it. Next up is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, I think is how you say her name. It's the first book in that series. I really liked it. I also gave that one 4 stars. I think sometimes I'm too generous. So it's chronicling the friendship of these 2 girls in Naples, Italy in like the 60s, 50s, 60s, kind of that time period, starting when they were in like really young children, and going into their like teenage and adult years. The series follows them throughout their whole lives, but the first book ends when they're like 14, 15, 16. And yeah, it was really good. I really liked it. The writing is really pretty. It doesn't feel like something, I believe it was published in 2011, and it does not feel like something that was published in 2011. It feels very timeless, very like classic vibes. Next up is Red, White, and Royal Blue. I also discussed this one in my like half year wrap up video. Okay, I don't really love the story. I didn't love the writing, but I really enjoyed specific moments. Like the characters were kind of flat, but there were specific moments of like pride and like people showing support that really just like tugged at my heartstrings, and it made me feel. I think the second half of the book is much better than the first half of the book. A lot of things just felt very unnecessary and very kind of forced. But other than that, I like this book. I gave it 3 stars. For most of the book, it was like 2 stars, but then it made me cry. So I was like, you get an extra star because you made me feel something. So this book follows the story of Alex, our main character, and he is the first son. So his mother is the president of the United States, and then Prince Henry of Wales, I believe. They don't like each other, and then shocker, they fall in love. It kind of also fake dating, but not really. Like they have to fake a friendship. Patrick, get out of the way. So next up, I finished Blood of Olympus in July. I'm sorry if you hear the cat meowing, which is by Rick Riordan. It's the last book in the Heroes of Olympus series, which I have been kind of working on the past few months. We're just gonna hold him because he wants attention. Yeah, he's happy now. And I really liked it. It wasn't my favorite. I do believe I gave it 4 stars just because I liked how it ended and I liked some things. It felt kind of rushed to me because the whole series you're preparing for this huge final battle, like the most powerful like goddess ever is waking up, and then they have to fight her and figure out a way to, stop her. And it just felt very rushed. Like the ending, it was just like, oh, all of a sudden everything's fine. Like, I don't know. Like I love the characters, and that's the main thing that is really incredible about Rick Riordan books, is you fall for the characters, and they're great. And the plot is, I feel like I normally enjoy the plot. The writing is pretty simple, but it's like middle grade, so you expect that. But yeah, I really like that one. You're basically just following a bunch of demigods just living their lives. They're like the children of Greek and Roman gods, and they fight monsters and stuff, and it's really cool. I love it. The last book I finished in July, which was the last book I finished, I haven't even finished a book in August yet, and it's August 8th right now, was To Sir Philip with Love by Julia Quinn, the fifth Bridgerton book. A lot of those books, they're not good. I admit they're not good, but I love them, and so I'm gonna read all of them. I also started the show recently, which I'm really obsessed with, and specifically this book, I gave it 2 stars. It was definitely my least favorite out of the series so far. If you haven't really heard of Bridgerton, this series, or the books, you're following this family in like a Regency era in like the early 1800s in London, and they are called the Bridgertons. There are 8 kids named alphabetically. They're just my favorite. I love them. I love the characters. So the one I read was about Eloise, which I was expecting so much more because she's kind of the character, she's the one that's like, oh, well, this is stupid. Like, women shouldn't just have to get married. That shouldn't be the standard of like, oh, that's the point you were born. And she is a big advocate for like women going to school. And she kind of just, I don't know, she wants more from life than just getting married young and having kids. And this book just didn't give me what I wanted. I didn't care about the characters. I don't like the love interest at all. He's really just gross, and just like his wife drowned or something, so he's just all over the place. Talks very negatively about women. There's also just like weird talk around like mental health. And so I don't know, I gave that one 2 stars. I probably even would have rated it lower if it weren't Bridgerton books, because I love my Bridgerton books, even though they're terrible, and I admit that. Like, don't read them, but like, I love it. It's trash. I'm obsessed. I did not recommend it. Honestly, if you're gonna read the series, just skip that one. Like, you're not missing anything. And I think they just kind of ruined Eloise's character, because she was very strong-willed and very stubborn and very sure of herself, and she seemed to kind of stray away from that in this book. It was just very weird. But anyways, that is all I read in July. I've been really busy and kind of just burnt out recently, so I haven't been reading as much. I've kind of taken a break, but I want to get back into it. I'm finishing some books up right now. I'm super close to finishing like 3 or 4, I think. So hopefully I can get some of my August TBR going. Anyways, that is all I have for you today, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.